Cenk Uygur and his nephew Hassan Piker, two left-wing, very anti-Israel commentators, have been banned from entering the United Kingdom, and they're blaming it on Israel. Well, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's understand what actually happened here and what it all means. Let's get to it. It's a very interesting story and worth addressing. So here we go. Let's pull up the first headline. UK blocks a visit by left-wing commentators Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker. Britain's Interior Ministry said travel authorization for these individuals had been canceled as their presence in the UK may not be conducive to the public good. The progressive political commentator Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker said Monday, that's this past Monday, that they had been barred from entering the UK to speak at events. Uygur, who hosts the YouTube series The Young Turks, and his nephew Piker, who broadcasts his commentary on the video platform Twitch, said on social media that they had been blocked because of their views about Israel. In a statement, the British Home Office or Interior Ministry said a travel authorization for these individuals had been canceled as their presence in the UK may not be conducive to the public good. The statement did not mention Israel. Decisions to refuse or cancel people's electronic travel authorization on these grounds are based solely on an assessment of the potential risk an individual may pose to UK society, the ministry added. Uygur and Piker had been listed to speak at the London edition of South by Southwest Festival. This is a progressive festival that usually takes place in Texas, but it's moved around this week, and at the University of Oxford over the weekend. I've been banned for criticizing Israel. Are we free anymore? Uygur said on X after he tried to board a flight. The UK has revoked my visa as well, Piker said on X, all at the behest of Israel, saying that Israel requested this. The Israeli government did not respond to an emailed request for comment on the posts. And yeah, so that's the gist of that. So here's the post. Cenk Uygur, I've been banned from the UK. I tried to get on a flight in London to attend South by Southwest London and give a speech at Oxford. I've been banned for criticizing Israel. Are we free anymore? This is oppression of Western citizens by our own governments on behalf of a different country. On behalf of, again, that implies saying on behalf of means that somehow Israel requested this. Right, and that's and then he writes down here, I'm going to do a live video on the Young Turks YouTube channel now to explain their reasoning for banning me. It is deeply ironic and incredibly flimsy. Under their reasoning, 60% of Americans and billions of people in the world can be banned from the UK for criticizing Israel. And his nephew Hassan Piker, the UK has revoked my visa as well at the behest of Israel. The West is betraying liberal values for a genocidal fascist foreign government. Again, what he's saying, it's beyond implying, is that Israel requested this. Soon we will all become Israel. And by the way, just to understand how obsessed Cenk Uygur is with Israel, Eyal Yacobi posted this. In the past week, he posted this just a few days ago, May 27th. Last week he posted this. In the past week, Cenk Uygur has posted 106 separate times about Israel. Assuming he sleeps, that's roughly 2 posts about Israel every single hour for an entire week straight. Pure derangement. So there's quite an obsession of Hassan Piker is similar, quite an obsession over Israel. Now here is Cenk Uygur on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show talking about what happened.
You've been probably my most regular guest on Uncensored since we began. And sometimes I'm concerned about your blood vessels. But when it comes to what you say about Israel, I've been, listening very intently. You've always been very careful to maintain your criticism of Israel and its government in particular and its decisions. But I've never heard you espouse any anti-Semitism. Never heard you be hateful about Jewish people or anyone because of their faith or their ethnicity. So I just don't understand what rationale the UK government could possibly have for banning you. Have you been able to find out any more?
Yeah, so let's break it down. So I go to the airport and they just say that I've been rejected by the British government and I'm not allowed to enter and hence I can't board the plane. They don't give any stated reason. Then about 20 minutes later, that Times article that you mentioned, Piers, comes out and it says it's because I criticize Israel in the wrong ways. Now, I don't know if the British government is going to put out a list of the acceptable ways to criticize Israel and the unacceptable ways to criticize Israel. That might be helpful because apparently we're going to need it. Over 60% of Americans are critical of Israel. Will we all be banned from the UK? Should everyone be careful about traveling to the United Kingdom because they might ruin your plans at the end if a different government is unsatisfied with you?
See, again, he's talking about the Israeli government being unsatisfied here as though the Israeli government did something about this. Now, it has to be mentioned that the Home Office did not say that this was about Israel. A Times piece said that it was. Now, they said that, there was something problematic about the way he talks about Israel. And what they specifically said there was that he talks about the Israeli government controlling the U.S. government, meaning that he uses certain kind of classic anti-Semitic tropes, and that's why they didn't like it. I'm not defending their decision. I'm a believer in free speech. I don't think it's helpful for Israel, for the UK to be banning people if this is the reason they banned him. But notice he keeps implying or basically saying that Israel somehow was behind this or requested it.
Well, can they put out a list of things you're not allowed to say about Israel? And what's amazing is that you're allowed to say anything you want about the United Kingdom or about America or any other country. And they said the only thing they could grasp at, because I've never said anything anti-Semitic because I don't believe that. In fact, I believe the opposite. And it is that they said that I said that America is controlled by Israel, the Congress is, because they're the top donor in this election, in this last election cycle. Well, that is empirically true. That is a fact. So are facts anti-Semitic now? Are news people not allowed to deliver facts to people? And if you say, hey, someone who...
Oh, and by the way, that happens not to be true. Is the Israel or pro-Israel advocates are not the largest donor in the last election cycle. Far from it. But anyway, I digress.
Who is deeply anti-Semitic, says the Jews are terrible and it's their fault and Hitler's good, etc., is in the same camp as a guy who says, no, this has nothing to do with Jewish people. In fact, 63% of Jewish Americans are opposed to the current Israeli government. And I make that distinction on the Young Turks almost every day.
You made it on this show regularly.
And if you put us in the same category, well, you're destroying the idea of combating actual bigotry. It's almost like pulling a Jussie Smollett on a national level and saying we don't care. And it's also deeply ironic to say that we're going to ban you for criticizing Israel by saying that our governments are controlled by Israel.
Okay. Well done there, Shank. Before we go on, I just want to zero in on this whole question of criticizing Israel versus being anti-Semitic and make a very clear definition of the contours of this. There is nothing anti-Semitic about criticizing Israel, no matter what the criticism is. However, what is anti-Semitic is if you do not have criticisms for other countries that do worse things or the same things. Meaning, let's say it has to do with death of civilians or treatment of Christians. Like, let's say you're one of these people who believes that Israel mistreats Christians because some thug in Jerusalem who's Jewish pushed over a nun, or some, unruly Jewish kid spit at some Christians, right? Or the IDF, an IDF soldier defaced a Jesus statue, right? So you believe that Israel somehow is anti-Christian. If you are attacking Israel for being anti-Christian, but you are not saying a word about the country of Saudi Arabia and many other Muslim countries where leaving Islam and becoming Christian is illegal. On the Saudi Arabian law books, it's punishable by death. And public displays of Christian symbols are illegal. If you're not saying anything about the real persecution of Christians, but you're only saying something about these stories coming out of Israel, then yes, that's anti-Semitic. Not because criticizing an Israeli soldier for defacing a Jesus statue was anti-Semitic, but because selectively criticizing Israel, holding Israel to a standard that you don't hold anyone else to, that is anti-Semitic. It's the double standard that's anti-Semitic, not the criticism. And this is what makes it very easy to say, hey, I'm only criticizing Israel, I'm not anti-Semitic. That's the measure that we always have to look for. And that's why it's important to note what Eyal Yacobi pointed out here that I mentioned, that Cenk Uygur obsessively, multiple times a day, posts attacks on Israel. And the question is he doing the same thing for other parts of the world where atrocities are being committed if he views Israel as committing atrocities? This is a guy who's also said that he would vote for Hamas over Israel anytime. Okay. Now, what's also interesting about this is that very recently, this is from 2 weeks ago, 11 far-right agitators were banned from the UK out of the rally. Remember, Tommy Robinson hosted this mass rally in London, and he was bringing in speakers to, notable people to come to the rally, and 11 foreign far-right agitators were blocked from entering the country to attend a rally organized by anti-Islam activist Tommy Robinson. Okay, they banned 11 activists. Among the 11 blocked from entering the UK is US-based anti-Islam influencer Valentina Gomez, who attended the first Unite the Kingdom march last September. Now, this article doesn't mention the names of the others, but we've got to talk about Valentina Gomez. It's her ban, because it sheds some light on Cenk's. Before we go on, make sure that you are signed up for the Israel Truth Network. This is the IsraelTruthNetwork.org, theisraeltruthnetwork.org. You want to make sure that you're signed up there. We're up in the top corner where it says sign up for the truth. This is one of the results of implementing Charlie Kirk's vision for having rapid response to lies and claims that are made against Israel. And so when people claim that Cenk Uygur and Piker were banned because Israel wanted it, or Israel asked for it, or Israel was behind it, we debunk it. And each of the issues that we deal with, we put out these great fact sheets, and it has the information, it has what the lie is, and we debunk all the lies about Israel, and they're all archived here. A very important website, and you can sign up to get these Israel Truth updates, these Israel Truth reports every single day in your inbox. Get these fact sheets, very important. So sign up for theisraeltruthnetwork.org. Okay, so who is Valentina Gomez? A US-based anti-Islam influencer has been blocked from entering the UK by the Home Office. Valentina Gomez, who has unsuccessfully sought election in Missouri and Texas on an anti-Islam platform, previously filmed herself burning a Quran in a campaign video. And the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, that's the name of the Home Secretary of the UK, Shabana Mahmood, more on her in a minute, she decided that Gomez's presence in the country would not be conducive to the public good. Hey, does that sound familiar? That's right. That's the same logic she used for banning Cenk. Now, Valentina Gomez is extremely pro-Israel. Here's an article about her trip to Israel in October 2025. And look at this. Look what she did on her trip. A Texas congressional candidate who visited Israel filmed herself at the Gaza border watching IDF strikes on Gaza with popcorn in her hand. Oh my gosh. She added that she was looking forward to meeting Prime Minister Netanyahu. She wants to be baptized in the Jordan River. And look what she says here. Hamas's days are over. Never negotiate with terrorists. She's an immigrant from Colombia. She's a prominent MAGA activist. And she said, as part of her travels to Israel, she spoke to the daughters of slain IDF soldiers. She went to the Western Wall. Gomez said that she stood by all her actions and statements, noting that at the wall, Muslims and Christians could pray freely, but the same courtesy was not afforded to Jews and Christians on the Temple Mount. The congressional hopeful said that she had been very well treated during her visit to Israel and supported Israel. So she was banned from the UK. And by the way, besides them, we also had some others who were banned from the UK. I mean, in the list of those who were banned, you also had Dominic Tarczynski, who's a very pro-Israel guy. He was welcomed at an Israeli government conference on anti-Semitism recently that I attended. And you have Philip de Winter, who was also banned by the UK, very pro-Israel guy. He's called Israel the outpost of the West. And and he's been a pro-Israel guy. Now these people are associated with the far right, but these are among the 11 who were banned by the UK Home Office. So wait a second. So they're banning pro-Israel influencers and anti-Israel influencers. So is Israel controlling the UK government? And by the way, what interest does Israel have from preventing Cenk Uyghur, who's spewing anti-Israel content every day, from going to the UK and doing more of that? The UK is one of the most anti-Israel governments in the world, unless you haven't been paying attention. So for example, the UK back in September 2025 formally recognized Palestinian statehood. It was one of the few countries that did so. Okay, this is a country that the UK government is not pro-Israel. They have no reason to be protecting Israel. It seems that they don't want people who are fomenting hatred on either side to come into the country. Now, I'm not justifying it. I don't agree with that. I kind of like free speech, and I don't think the UK should be doing this, and certainly is a bad look for Israel if they're preventing someone like Cenk Uyghur from coming to the UK. Doesn't do us any good. And by the way, who is the person who banned him? Home Secretary Shabana Mahmoud. Well, here's Home Secretary Shabana Mahmoud, banned for criticizing Israel. Here's the woman who banned you, post Andy No. Here she is at a Free Palestine rally. She's a pro-Palestine activist. Look at her website. This is Shabana Mahmoud's website at the Labor Party site. Shabana's record on Palestine. Many constituents have been in touch regarding their support for Palestine in response to recent events in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. I am and always have been a passionate and determined supporter of Palestinian rights, and my parliamentary record on the issue speaks for itself. My support extends fully to the citizens of the occupied Palestinian territories who have had themselves and their families displaced or injured by Israel's military action in the region. I'm also a long-standing member of Labor Friends of Palestine in the Middle East. And then she has her whole record on Palestine. She is one of the most anti-Israel members of the UK government. One of the most anti-Israel members of the UK government is Shabana Mahmoud, pro-Palestine activist. So to suggest that Israel somehow picked up the phone and called Shabana Mahmoud and asked her to ban these guys is absurd. Why would Israel even do that? What do they gain from that? Why does it help them? Think about it. Is the public relations issue going on right now with Cenk Uyghur and Hassan Piker making hay out of this? Is this good for Israel? Is it a good look? I mean, the UK is a hotbed of Muslim Brotherhood activity, so much so that the UAE doesn't even send students there anymore because they're afraid of them getting radicalized. The UK is, as a government, is very anti-Israel. And they have all sorts of restrictions on free speech, and they don't want agitators coming in, whatever. But the suggestion that somehow Israel was behind this and that this is a uniquely pro-Israel action, banning people, when you just had 11 right-wing activists, a number of which were very pro-Israel, who were banned just a couple weeks ago. I don't know if Cenk mentioned that. The whole thing's ridiculous. Again, I don't think the UK should be banning people, but to suggest that Israel was somehow behind this would imply that Israel has some control over the UK government that consistently is in the anti-Israel camp on the international stage. And somehow Israel controls Shabana Mahmoud, pro-Palestine activist, Home Office secretary, in a government that recognized a state of Palestine, that Israel controls that government. Now, they can't stop the UK government from recognizing the state of Palestine, but they could get them to stop Cenk Uyghur from coming into the country. Very strange claim. All right, that's what I got to say here today. Hope you found it interesting. Leave me a comment. God bless.